I've been in your waters.
What is popping, guys, and welcome back to another tattoo tips video. So guys, today's video we are going to be doing a Q&A. Yes, yesterday I think it was, I put up on the community section a opportunity to get your questions in and I would answer them for you on a video, and that is what we are doing today. Bear with me, guys. Like I said, I have just woke up. I am super tired, but we're gonna power on. I've got my Rain energy drink, product placement. Rain, talking to you. Yes, you know. So guys, let's get straight on with it with the first question. This was sent in by KNZ. KNZ? What? I don't know how to pronounce that. I have no idea how to pronounce that. KNZZ? Anyway, what to do when you live in a small city where there are no other studios looking for employees and you're trying to learn all by yourself? How do you progress in your career while also having to pay the bills? Really good question. Like a really good question, to be honest. If you have no studios in your area or you have nobody to learn by, then in my opinion, you've got to be just willing to put in the work. It is going to be harder, it is going to be slower, you aren't going to progress half as much as what you would if you had like some help. If you just put in the work and you just practice, you will get better. It's as simple as that. The more you do something, the better you get at it, but what you've got to be willing to do is you've got to be willing to fail at something to get better at it. Nobody ever gets better by continually progressing one step. Like, you just don't get better like that. The way you get better is you progress, you fail, you progress, fail, progress. So like you need these failures to push yourself forward and to propel yourself forward to get better. As for paying the bills, I did have a secondary job, so maybe that's something that you could look into. And eventually when you get to a point where you are tattooing, if there is no studios in your area and there's no one to learn from, then that means you're going to be the first in that area, which is going to open up a whole hell of a lot of opportunities for you. So I hope that's answered your question. If I haven't, I'm truly sorry, but I think I have. Okay guys, the next question is from Edgar DeJesus. Please explain the importance of a hygiene while tattooing. Yeah, it's pretty important. Hygiene is a staple in the tattoo industry. I have done a video on bloodborne pathogens. If you want to go and view that, I'll link that video here. Hygiene is a absolute, it is the biggest thing. It is the biggest thing in the tattoo industry. You should not be doing tattoos if you are not hygienic. It's as simple as that. It's as clean cut as that. You know, there's reasons to why we do things, but your question is, please explain the importance. And the only, you know, the only way that I could possibly explain the importance to you is by saying it is the most important thing in the tattoo industry. Hygiene comes above everything. On to the next question. The next question was put forward by Surfix. How to make good shading and proper colour fill, etc. Only that interests me. Shading and colour is two completely different things. If you want to know how to make good shading, then you can watch my technique video here. I use that technique for colour and black and grey. So that's the technique for you to use. There's no point me explaining it here. That video explains everything. And if you want to know how to pack something, then I've also done a 30-second clip which briefly explains how to pack in black, which also works with every other colour, but black is probably one of the hardest colours to pack. So yeah, check that out. Next question is from Shane Bowles. Hope you're well, dude. I am. Thank you very much, dude. What would your advice be to somebody about to open their first studio? Okay, so when I very first opened my studio, the biggest advice that I could give is to have financial backing. Right, don't just get the required amount to open your studio. Make sure you've got a little bit in the kitty to keep you tied over. When a studio is running good, it is running good and it's a well-oiled machine. But when a studio starts to go bad, that's when it becomes really, really, really stressful. You know, if you're not too busy, you've got the few appointments a week, but you're not fully stacked on appointments, and you are hoping that your studio will, aid to bringing more clients in, especially if it's in a well-populated area like a town center or something. You can't rely on that all the time. You cannot rely on that all the time, especially around Christmas, especially around school holidays and stuff, because parents are doing stuff with the kids, and Christmas comes and people are spending money on Christmas presents, and it doesn't always go the way that you are planning. So my number one advice would be to have savings backed up to dip into for when the studio isn't going the way that you think it might. But if you are opening a studio, dude, good luck to you. I wish you all the best, my man. Kill it. The next question is from Darlind. I'm so sorry if I'm butchering names. I'm so sorry, guys. Hello, Chris. I have a few questions, and the first one is about how do you choose the background for specific pieces or portraits? Okay, so when it comes to background, I generally work with the concept of light and dark. It's as simple as that. If the portrait's dark on one side, then I'll do it light on that side, and if it's light on the other side, I'll do it dark on that side, and I'll do a nice fade. That's generally the way I go with like simple backgrounds. If I'm doing like an actual background that's in the actual image, then I'll just pick a nice contrasty image which contrasts the background and the subject in the image. And the second part of the first question is, and when continuing a sleeve, how do you make all the different pieces flow together? Generally, I am making it flow through background, or I'm incorporating something similar between the top of the arm or leg, wherever you're doing, and the bottom. But generally, I'm making it flow through the background or keeping to a certain theme or element through in the background. And the second part of that question is, and how do you split up a big tattoo in different sessions? Like, what should you tattoo in the first session and what should you leave in the second? Yeah, so if I'm tattooing a 2-day back-to-back piece, then I would generally get the most important thing in, which would be, if I'm doing a portrait, the face or the head. If I'm doing a 2-day piece, then I would separate it between the head and the body. So if you say you're doing a portrait and you cut off at the neck, when it comes to do the second day, it's a lot easier to stencil the clothing back on with the line and shape of the neck. If I do the bottom, I do the clothing, the neck and the face, then I'll leave the hair, and it's a lot easier to stick the hair back on. What you don't want to be doing is like doing the clothing, the neck and the hair, and then trying to line up a face to what you've already done, because that's going to be a lot harder, and it's going to be a lot more noticeable. Generally, people aren't going to notice like clothes, people aren't going to notice hair if they're off. So yeah, that's what I try to do. I just try to get to a point where it's easier to stencil on the next part of the tattoo. What I would never do is work up and then get like halfway through, so you're just left with half of tattoo and then trying to line that back up. I would never do that. I would always try to get the most important thing in there. I've asked some artists about that, and most of them told me to split up like a puzzle. Yeah, pretty much exactly that. Like I said, just to reiterate, what you don't want to be doing is making it harder on yourself. So just get to the easiest point of your piece, stop there, and then it'll be easier to pick up the stencil, to re-stencil, to carry on the piece the next day. The next question comes in from Take Your Meds. The correct needle depth on body parts. Maybe you can do close-up video, positioning on body parts for the best stretch and hand position. Thank you. Take Your Meds. Yeah, maybe I could do a video on that, buddy. Needle depth, just keep in mind that there is different depths that you should be working out on different parts of the body, I have done a video here that explains things just a little bit more, so you can go watch that if you like, if you've not seen it. And positioning on body parts for the best stretch. Generally, it depends where it depends where you're tattooing. It's as simple as that. If you're tattooing a stomach, then I generally, get the stretch required just by stretching where my hand's not in the way. It's as simple as that. Like, I don't have a specific, my hand needs to be placed here or anything like that. I just stretch the skin to where I'm comfortable, to where the client's comfortable. However, when it does come to private areas, top private or lower private, then it's a little bit different. I do try to keep my client as comfortable as possible. If I need to have my hand position in a certain position to get a certain stretch from a certain angle, because I'm coming in from a different angle, and it ends up being that, I'm quite close to these sensitive areas, then I will always let my client know that I'm about to place my hand here or here. Is that okay? If you're uncomfortable at any point, just let me know and we'll stop. Just do that. It covers you, and it also puts your client at ease. Brian comes in with 3 questions. Is stretching important when it comes to shading? Quick answer: no, it is not important. Stretching is more important when it comes to packing in black and packing in color and stuff like that, but stretching is not important when it comes to shading at all. If anything, less the stretch gives you more time to build up on skin, because it doesn't put the pigment in as fast. What are some good starter tattoos when getting into realism? Brilliant question. Love this question. The best thing to get into when you want to start doing realism is horror. Horror portraits are the greatest thing to get into, because they are almost impossible to fuck up. Horror is awesome. If you want to get into doing portraits and stuff, then I would always recommend doing a Freddy Krueger and a Jason Voorhees. One, I would do Jason Voorhees because he's got a smooth mask. However, if you don't get it smooth, then it just looks like dirt, and it just looks like it's meant to be there. Freddy Krueger, he hasn't got smooth skin, he's got burnt skin. If you go too dark, or you get something a little bit wrong in the cheeks or anything like that, you're not going to notice it. So yes, horror, do horror. If you are getting into realism, do horror first. Practice your technique. He's also put i.e. skulls and flowers. Yeah, skulls is also another good one, but I would put that in the horror section. If you're not confident in smooth black and grey and your technique, then you just basically want to stay away from open smooth areas. Try to do stuff with quite a bit of texture in there, because that's what's gonna come forward in the tattoo over your smooth black and grey. So yeah, horror. And question number 3 is, when packing solid black in a certain area using curved mags or magnum, do you use lining voltage or shading voltage? The answer to that is more towards shading voltage. It depends on the type of skin and where I'm tattooing, but always more towards my shading voltage than lining voltage. When it comes to packing, you are wanting smooth, tight circles, and if you are using lining voltage to do that, it's going to be way too much. So yeah, bring it back. Shading voltage, 100%. The next question is from my man Day One. Just to let everyone know, Day One has practically been on this channel since day one, always commenting, always supporting, and I really do appreciate you, dude. Thank you so much. Hope all is well, brother. I certainly appreciate the Q&A opportunity. I would love to hear about when you had your breakthrough. Oh, I got this moment. Was there a lesson you learned that really opened up a whole new level of confidence and execution over the years on skin? So my breakthrough moment came, and confidence came, when I started to realize that everything is just a different shape and a different shade, and I stopped looking at the piece as a whole. You can look at a portrait and you can look at a super detailed piece and you can just be thinking, oh my god, how am I going to do that? But once you understand that it is a different shape and it is just a different shade, and you break it down into small manageable pieces, it becomes a lot easier. And what you start to do is you just think about the area that you're working on rather than the piece as a whole. So yes, understanding that it is just a different shape and just a different shade was the one that propelled me to the next level. Part 2 of that question also is, and as a family man, how do you balance the risk of the current situation with making new contacts, clientele? I really appreciate all you do, keep killing it. I appreciate you, dear one, honestly, I really do, man. But as for like COVID and getting new clientele, we just try to minimize the risk as much as we can. When anyone's around the studio and everyone's in a congregated area, we're all wearing masks. Personally, in my area of tattooing, I'm not too fussed whether you want to wear a mask or not, but you know, around the studio there's always masks wore, going to the toilet, masks are worn and stuff like that. So we just try to minimize the risk as much as we can. Personally, COVID is not going anywhere, and there's only going to be so much that tattoo studios can do or that other businesses can do to accommodate. If you're going to get it, you're going to get it. It's just like a flu. It's just like anything else. It's not going anywhere. So we just try as best to minimize the risk. And yes, I am a family man and I do have kids. My girlfriend also has, you know, people on her side of the family which are really, really sick, and you know, we've got to protect them also. So we just try to minimize the risks, but I understand it's not going anywhere and we can't constantly live our life in a bubble of oh my god, COVID. You just can't, we can't do that. Eventually at some point there's gonna have to be some normality. When that comes, I don't know, but yeah. And the last question is from Elwin Mulikez. I'm so sorry. How do you make good shading with layering without damaging the skin too much? Soft machine, soft hand. It's as simple as that. If you have a softer machine, you have a lot more time on skin to build up a area. So yeah, simple answer, soft machine, soft hands. Also, my back and forth pendulum technique works great for building up. If you don't know what that is, there's a video here that you can go watch that explains everything. So yeah, but basically, light machine, light hand, gives you that time to build up. What you do got to be wary of is people's skin, different skin. You know, female skin is generally a lot softer, a lot more sensitive than a male, so there is stuff like that to take into account. And also, to add to that, patience. Patience is one of the biggest things that you will learn when it comes to doing black and grey, because sometimes, guys, you'll do like 3 passes on there and you won't see a goddamn thing. And eventually when you're doing that all the way through a piece, it can get a little bit tedious, and you need to be patient, and you know, you need to start at the same speed, continue at the same speed, and end at the same speed. So patience will go a long way to, you know, not damaging the skin, because if you start getting impatient, you just want things done quicker, and that's when you're going to damage the skin also. Well guys, that is all the questions done for today. I will do another Q&A if we get more questions. I will probably put up a new post at some point, but I hope I've been able to answer them all to your standard, and so you guys understand. I'm sorry if I haven't, but also about the 2K competition, guys, that will be drawn soon. I do have a limit of views that I need to get on that video before I release the winner. So yeah, that is coming soon. I've not forgot about it, just letting you all know. If you do want a one-on-one personal seminar with me, there is an email in the description that you can email to get all the info. But as always, guys, as always, I shall see you all in the next one. Adios. See, now I'm gonna get up. Oh my god, I'm gonna get up. I'm just gonna walk off frame. I'm just gonna walk off frame. Have I gone? Yep, I've gone.